My name is Roger Hill. About 8 years ago, I became born again. I had lived a life of drugs and alcohol, and as you can see, I'm all tattooed, and I'm tattooed pretty much from head to toe. There is room yet to get tattooed, but I just lived the rock star lifestyle that I drank a lot. I mean, I would drink from 2 in the afternoon till 2 in the morning. I would use cocaine, heroin, ecstasy. I slept around with people I shouldn't have slept around with. I struggled with my own sexuality at times, and in the bisexual lifestyle, and I was just I always tell people I lived a very suicidal lifestyle. Because all my life, I mean, I tried to commit suicide the first time when I was 16. And the rest of my life I spent trying to die, I guess, trying to die at a young age. And, and I really didn't care if I lived or died. There was a moment where my mom, I was in ICU in a hospital, and she asked me if I cared if I lived or died. And I said, no, I don't care. And that's just how I lived all of my life, from the drugs and the alcohol and the sex. I just didn't care. And then I'd lost my driver's license drinking and driving one time, and I went almost 10 years without my driver's license. And I was working in a tattoo shop, and this guy wanted me to move to Phoenix, Arizona, and open a shop for him and run it. And for me to live in Phoenix, though, I needed to have a driver's license because it was cheaper to live outside of town and to drive in. So I said, all right, I'll go back and get it. So and it wasn't the first time I'd been through treatment. I've been through treatment like 4 or 5 times in my life. And this was one of those moments where I said, all right, I'll go. And I knew how to play the program. I told the counselor I was going to NA and AA meetings, and I was watching all these people with a lot of years of sobriety, and they would always talk about their relapses and how they were struggling. And I thought once you quit drinking and doing drugs, your life was supposed to get better. But these people made it seem like that got worse. And so I knew there was something different or something missing. And I was always told, obviously, through alcohol treatment, that you're always an alcoholic and an addict the rest of your life. I told her I was going to go to church one day. Out of the blue, I just said I'm going to go to church because I knew she'd let me out of treatment earlier. She'd let me into the next phase of the program, and I could get out that much quicker. So I called my niece the night before. She was 5 at that time. She's 14 now. And I asked her if she wanted to go with me, because I didn't want to go to church by myself. So I asked her if she wanted to go with me. She said sure. I picked her up the next morning, and I really didn't even want to go, but I picked her up. We got into the parking lot, and I looked at her, and I asked her if she wanted to go to McDonald's and she could play on the playground and we could have breakfast, and then we could just go home. And she said, no, we're supposed to go to church, right? And I said, yeah. And she said, well, we'd be lying if we didn't, right? And I said, oh, yeah, I suppose. So we went in. They took her to children's church. Of course, I'm the only tattooed guy in the church, so they do the sinner's prayer right away before they even do anything. So of course I raised my hand because everyone's watching me. And I said it. I didn't feel any different. Absolutely nothing. It didn't even mean anything to me. They started playing their worship songs, and I was watching these people worship. And I grew up going to Baptist churches as a kid. And you didn't stand and you didn't raise your hands. And I was watching these people. They were jumping up and down at the altar and like it was a rock concert. And I thought, either I'm going to see snakes come out, or these people love God an awful lot. And I told God, if I see snakes come out, I'm out the door, because I'm so scared of them. But snakes didn't come out. I figured out they loved God. They played this song, Mighty to Save by Hillsong. And the pastor stopped everything, and he said, just listen to the words, listen to the words. And I was just listening to the words, and I had my eyes closed and my head down, and I had this huge bright light on top of me, and I kept thinking I had the spotlight on top of me. And I opened my one eye, I had one eye closed, one eye open, and there was no spotlight on me. I did it, and it happened a second time, and I kept thinking, great. Here's this church, I'm all tattooed, of course they're going to put the spotlight on me. And the third time that it happened, I opened my eyes, and there stood Jesus before me. And he said, this is it, Roger. If you walk out of here today not knowing me,